Hey everybody, I'm back in your feed again today with the big update. I got some changes that happened at school, got some changes that have happened with the AP exam, so let's jump right in. So first off, school updates. Governor mentioned on Wednesday, I think, that he wanted schools to stay closed until May 1st. Madison County Schools agreed with that, and so we are now on NPI until May 1st. Which is going to be the month of all this. So of this, of me on your computer or phone. So that's going to be interesting. We're doing great so far. So why not keep going? First day back is now May 4th, and we'll all get a calendar coming up in a bit. So we'll take a look at that. Big changes on the AP exam. So our original exam date was May 6th. Seso de Mayo. I know that's not a good number. Our new exam date is May 13th. Instead of being a 3-hour exam, it will now be 45 minutes. And instead of starting at noon, it will now start at 4 p.m. So this is just all sorts of weird. So this is a test that you can take at home or at school if school's back in session, which it's supposed to be, right? We'll see. And then June 2nd at 2 p.m. is the makeup date for the AP Euro exam. And there's a full schedule on the interwebs or that you can access, or you got an email today from College Board that gives you a link to that. And if you've got questions about other exams and other classes, I would ask your teacher about that. Personally, as far as the makeup date goes, use this as a last resort. This is a date you actually have to apply to the school to get an extension to June 2nd. My plan is to make sure that we're all ready to take the test on May 13th, which actually gives us a lot more days than I thought we would have. Also, June 2nd is great in case of technical failure. If the phone dies, if the internet doesn't work, if there's a giant storm and power goes out, that's what June 2nd is for. So let's save that date in our back pocket in case we need it for a technical glitch. So what that looks like, this is the calendar I promised you guys. Here is where we are today. This is you are here. I should totally just big arrows if you are here. So we're on, it's April 3rd. Next week is spring break. I am not touching spring break. You guys have got, after the last, 1, 2, 3 weeks of NPI days and the full semester before that, let's take a break. All right. Let's step back. Let's get some perspective. Let's get a little bit of rest, and let's take spring break off. For those of you who have used the last 3 weeks as vacation weeks, I would recommend going back and taking care of business. So if you're already rested up, then I'm thinking not have to use spring break for that. The week after spring break is our remediation week. This is that week where if you have missed anything, this is the week, this is the other week to make it up. This is a dedicated week to make it up. So if you're not rested, and you've been working hard and you're still a little bit behind, we've got a built-in remediation week. I'm going to do my best to make sure that all your SAQs that you've been writing over the last 2 weeks are all graded and all back to you. So you can use remediation week to make up some of those. And I think I'm up to number 3, and you guys have done 8 or 9. So I'll have those ready for you with videos and all that stuff. So that's part of my goal next week. The other part of my goal next week is to get ready for this exam. I'll tell you more about that here in just a minute. But that would leave us the remediation week, and then 5 days, 10 days. We're supposed to be back at school on May 4th, so that would give us another 5 days in person, face to face. And then 2 days, and then May 13th at 4 p.m. for 45 minutes is going to be your exam. So the way that you're going to take this exam, you're going to log into a secure site to get your secure test question. You have a choice then. Once you're in, you can either type your answer to your exam on the device that you logged in on, or you can either pencil, this is not a pencil, it's a highlighter, I know that. You can use a pencil or pen to write out your exam question on paper, and then take a picture of it and send that in. So you'll have 45 minutes to write, and then you'll have a 5-minute upload period. So that's a total of 50 minutes there. I do not know, there will be a timer on the screen, but as far as like a proctor, it's going to be you in your room alone. And so you're going to need to keep track of your own time. Either use the little clock on the screen, or keep track on your watch, whatever. But those 45 minutes are yours to keep track of. Nobody's going to say you have 5 minutes remaining. So keep an eye on the clock. And as you can tell, at home, it's going to be an at-home test. It's going to be an open notes test. But they say that they are doing their best to make sure that this is not the kind of test that you could really utilize your notes for. So it's been spring break trying to figure out, or it was part of spring break trying to figure out how best to prep you guys for that. But remember, no multiple choice questions, and nothing you could look up on the Googles for an easy answer. So I'll get into the question here in just a second and what that's going to look like. You've got to access the question and submit the answer on the same device. So you can't access on a phone or access on a PC or a desktop or a laptop, that's what they're called, and then type it out on your phone and then send it in from your phone. You have to, if you access it on your laptop or desktop, you need to type it there. If you access it on your laptop or desktop, if you've got a video camera like I do, you can just put it up to the camera and upload it from there. You could upload it, you could take a picture on your phone, send it from your phone to the desktop, and then upload it from there, but that sounds complicated. But as far as the nuts and bolts go, we'll worry more about that later. You need to get on the exam about 30 minutes early to get set up, is what the website just told me. So that's a total usage of 80 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes for me to be on an internet-enabled device of some kind. If that's going to be a problem, you let me know, all right? And I'll make sure that you either get a device. I'll make sure that you get a device. I'll find something. I'll find someone to get you a device. So if it's a problem for 80 minutes to be on the internet on a computer, you let me know, okay? Let's see. All right, so let's get into the test. This is your test. One question. It threw me a curveball. I thought it was going to be short answer questions. That's why we've been practicing short answer questions. So I thought to myself, it makes sense. So we got short answer questions, it's a 45-minute section of the test. This is how it's going to work. Not how it's going to work. They decided to modify the BBQ rubric and toss you a BBQ, one BBQ, to be written in 45 minutes. So essentially, usually you get an hour to do a BBQ. Usually you get 7 docs. You're going to get 5 this time. And they've also modified the rubric. This is not the rubric that I gave you guys earlier in the year. It's a little bit easier, honestly. And the essay is going to be a little bit shorter. Probably instead of 3 paragraphs. I shouldn't say that. Let me think more about it, and we'll get into it. Anyway, this is how it's scored. If you want to access it, I'll post this link on Classroom along with this video. So you can look at the rubric yourself. But essentially, this is what it looks like. You get a point for a thesis. We've been working on theses since like September. You guys are rocking on theses, and the thesis trident is power. 1 point for contextualization. Remember that part of the intro paragraph that we got for the thesis. 1 point for using, just using and mentioning content from 2 docs. You get a point. You back up your argument with two docs, you get a point. If you back up your argument with 4 docs, so this is where it's different. You should remember that you had to use 3 and back up your argument with 6, and that was using 3 with a point, backing up your argument with 6 with a point. So now they've changed it. Now you have to just use 2, and then back up your argument. If you back up your argument with 2, that's a point. If you back up your argument with 4, so it was 2, now you've added 2, that's 4, right? You get an additional point. So just backing up your argument with 4 documents gets you 1, 2, 3 points on top of the thesis and the contextualization. And then the other 2 points out of the 7 are outside evidence, which is something that some of you were starting to work on. Some of you weren't, and that's okay. We can get there. All right. So this is really what it is. It's just I mean, I'm looking at this, and if they're going to give you 5 docs, and they're going to ask you to bring in 2 pieces of outside evidence, that's 7. That's essentially that's the same DDQ format as before. Notice the big changes here. Let's see here. No analysis of documents as far as I can see, and so no DOV, no HAP, no historical context, which I mean, that makes it a little bit easier. That's always a harder point for people to get, and there's no complex understanding, so no this is how it is, except in this case. And so for a lot of you guys were starting to work on outside evidence. You guys are starting to work on evidence analysis, and you guys are starting to work on complex understanding, some of you, and trying to get those full 7 points from the old rubric. Now this new rubric, remember we had those 3 things. This new rubric says that you no longer have to put in complex understanding, and this new rubric says you don't have to analyze point of view. And so really the only thing that most of us would need to work on is bringing in outside evidence and just getting better and making sure that we back up our argument with the most pieces of evidence that we can. But I'm looking at this and I'm seeing a minimum of 6 pieces of evidence. And in my eyes, that says either two body paragraphs with 3 pieces of evidence, or 3 body paragraphs with 2 pieces of evidence. And I think, and you guys can get to 7 points. I'm looking at this rubric and I'm thinking to myself, you guys are going to kill this. You guys are going to absolutely blow it out of the water. So let's look at the, and here's the rubric. I'm going to hang here for a second if you all want to like screenshot this or pause it or whatever to read a little bit more. Like I said, I'm going to post that link, and so if you wait for that, you can use that too. But there you go. There's your full, I don't know, 25 seconds of me just sitting there. So what's the plan, Stan? Well, this is the plan. We got to put a little bit of work in. I got my doing stuff hat on, as you can see. So I'm ready to be doing stuff, and this is the stuff. Let's see. We're going to do some thesis writing practice. Throw out a question, write me a thesis. And so that's probably going to take the place of the daily SAQ with thesis writing. The daily thesis. Contextualization. We're going to work on contextualization by doing some sprite charts, which was on the plan anyway. Doing some timelines. Again, that was on the plan. And doing some practice multiple choice questions. Again, that was part of the plan too. The previous plan, the old plan. This is new plan. So the reason that I want to do those 3 things is because sprites give you a big picture. Timelines help you to hone the order of events, and then practice multiple choice questions also will help you hone the order of events. And remember, contextualization is all about putting your thesis, putting your document-based question into a timeline of some kind. And so the more we know about the general order of things, the easier that point's going to be. Let's see. Also, remember this is open notes, so that might be something. Having these sprite charts there in front of you, that's going to be something that I think will help you in the long run. Just having them there in front of you, so you can sort of put these things in order. So the sprite charts and the timeline, I think will be really something that maybe you could like put on the wall in front of you or put on the desk in front of you. And I know it seems like cheating, but it's not. When you write an essay in college, a lot of times you have access to stuff like that. So that might be something that we should put in front of us. Number 3 here is paragraph outlining. We're gonna work intensely on paragraphing and just making sure that we've got the structure. Making sure I'll give you a set of documents. You tell me. This is probably something that will go along with one of these thesis questions. You tell me. You give me an outline. You give me a paragraph. And I think by working on essentially these are the 3 things that you're being tested on. You're being tested on your thesis writing, your ability to contextualize, and your ability to paragraph, and to back up an argument, which is in your thesis, with good evidence, which would be your documents and your outside evidence. And I think the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on the focus review. We're gonna do. I'm thinking maybe probably 2 of these things before, at least 2 of these, and getting you guys some good feedback before we go into this thing. So we got 17 to 22 days. So what I'm going to do during remediation week, like I said, I'll spend some time over spring break making sure that your stuff is graded. Over the remediation week, what I'll do is I'll put up a bunch of optional stuff. After the remediation week, maybe 17 days start. So after spring break, we'll have 22 days before the test. After remediation week, we'll have 17 days. That is only 2 weekends. But what I'll do is on that Monday after remediation week, so that would be the 20th, a lot of this stuff will stop being optional. And so we'll work pretty intensely on writing and making sure that you're ready for this test. Let's see. I think that's all I've got. Let me make sure. Yep, that's the old PowerPoint that I tacked this onto the top of. So I'm going to go back to the read-in screen and let you know that this is how you can get a hold of me. Remind, classroom, email, ben.nichols@madison.kyschools.us. If you have any questions, please text me, remind me, email me, whatever works best for you works for me. Remember that I usually try to work 4 hours a day, and I got to take care of my boys for 4 hours. So if I don't get right back to you, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If my hours are in the morning and I work and my wife is watching the kids from 8 to noon and I'm working from 8 to noon, the next day we switch. And so the next day I don't work 8 to noon. The next day I work 1 to 5. And my wife watches the kids from 1 to 5. So if I don't get right back to you, I'll get back to you as soon as I can, okay? But keep communicating, keep texting, keep letting me know what's going on, all right? If you need anything, let me know. Stay safe, wash your hands, and we're gonna do this thing, all right? It's gonna be great. Have a great spring break. I'm gonna go watch the National Geographic Channel and sit really close to the TV. I have a feeling that's gonna make me feel like I'm... All right, see you guys soon. Bye.